This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Coming up on the Payoff, Dr. Robb Kelly is a force of nature. And you're going to want to, if you're in a seat or something, maybe you're driving, so this wouldn't be advised if you're driving, but you're going to want to hold on to your seat because this is inspirational. It's got me charged up. You can tell. I just talked with him. He's the head of the Dr. Robb Kelly group, which gets people sober. 8,500 people they have helped to the nth degree over the course of the life of the Robb Kelly group. It's all over the world. He joins us from San Antonio. They got a base in Dallas, San Antonio here in Texas, and literally all over the world. He is from Manchester, England, and I feel like he's everywhere, and you will too. This is a conversation about how he got sober, what it's like now for him, and what it's like now for him is magical, and the stuff he shares is completely magical. This is sobriety, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a little self-help. I definitely got a lot from it. So Dr. Robb Kelly, thanking him so much. And before we get to Robb Kelly, you know the deal. Kevin Souza. So I've been listening to a lot of your stuff. I've been reading a lot about you. And on this podcast, I like to give people obviously an idea of what it was like. But your what it's like now is so amazing. I don't want to spend too much time on what it was like, but you grew up in Manchester.
All right.
By the way, you are the real deal. I mean, that is love, patience, and tolerance. I appreciate that. 20 minutes of banging our heads against the wall over here while you sit there and wait on us. I appreciate it very much.
You're Pete Souza. Of course we're going to fucking wait on you, man. You are the man. My pleasure, believe it or not. Mine.
So we're going to start in Manchester. Your whole family, musicians. You are a musician. You take that first drink, I think at 9 years old. Is that right?
Yeah, 9 years old in Liverpool, which is about 30 miles outside Manchester, is where the Beatles grew up. Yeah, I think we're doing two sets, 2 45-minute sets. I'm 9 years old. What the hell do I know? I'm sat with this big bass around my neck. Do the first half, and I'm so nervous. And my uncle gave me a beer. Said, drink this. But when I drank it, like normal people drink it and go, oh, it's horrible. The moment I hit my stomach, I thought, this is it. I just found the Willy Wonka freaking bar here. This is the key to my rest of my life. And so it became. And that's where it all started.
And it changed, much like I could identify a lot with how you talked about that change, like the psychic change, right? Like the confidence you have, your ability to talk to people. You mentioned you could talk to girls, all that stuff. Same thing for me. How long did you feel like it carried you until until it stops working?
You know, it carried me all the way to, well, I was on the streets. Still didn't think I was having a problem when I was homeless. So the day of 14 months, that's when I realized that things are going wrong, even though they went wrong years ago and people could see that. I couldn't see it. I still thought getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning and drinking half a bottle of vodka before work was normal. I thought and I'm 27 years old, I'm thinking everybody does this. So it's one of those things that creep up. And, from the work we've done, we know why now. We've studied the brain. We know why it does it because part of the brain tells me to drink. So we don't have a choice in it. The neuroscience is quite specific about this. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was working. I was just going through some hard luck, I guess.
Do you agree that sometimes, or I guess in your case, and I know in mine too, we're the last to know? Alcoholics sometimes are the last to know.
100% we're the last to know because we're in that denial. We can't see what other people think. And that's one of the human errors when you put everything down and you have the spiritual awakening and psychic change. Therefore, your DNA changes. What happens is we're the last to know we're any good. We're last to know anything. So, yeah, listen, I was a bodybuilder, man, and a fighter, a pretty good boxer, a knuckle fighter. I grew up on the mean streets of Moss Side, which is like Beirut with lights. It was really tough, but I couldn't understand why this alcohol kept putting me back on my knees. I just couldn't understand it. So I fought it for a long time, Pete. I really did. He's like, what?
And you had a wife. You had a couple daughters. You were successful, and alcohol, as it does when you have this thing that you and I have, it will take every last thing from you. And we mentioned now you're the last to know. What happens, Dr. Robb, when you finally decide that you're going to change your life?
So I'm on the streets of Manchester, been there 14 months. I'm fighting every day, sleeping on the buses. One morning, I collapsed down on my hands and knees, and I started to cry like a baby. Now, I wasn't crying because I'd lost my wife, my two young children who they took off me when they were 1 and 3. I was crying because the first time in my life I realized I couldn't stop drinking. And it took all of them losses, all of the damage. I was like a contagious disease. I infected everybody with my alcoholism. You know, it was unbelievable. But then I realized I couldn't stop. So the problem was like, oh, and then they had this huge, crazy, won't talk about this for 20 years, a spiritual awakening that kind of took me to where I am today. But it was huge, man. And I was a non-believer. But yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable.
I would love to hear about this spiritual experience if you wouldn't mind sharing.
100%. It's got a few minutes. Of course I will. It's a beautiful story, man. And I wouldn't tell it for so long, but I'm on the street, get down to my hands and knees. It's probably 2 a.m. in the morning. And where the factories and offices are, there's not a human being in sight, no cars, nothing. I'm on my hands and knees and I'm crying, sobbing from my heart and my stomach. And I remember looking up to the sky, and this is what I said, Pete. If there is a God up there, I can't do this on my own anymore. That's all I said. About 30 seconds later, a guy walked around the corner with a little Bible in his hand. He'd missed his last bus from a Bible study he was at, and he'd taken this route that he's never taken before in his life, and he came across me. And his name was Derek. So he said, come back to the house. I'm in recovery. So I went back to the house, and I shaved for the first time in like 14 months. And he said, you can stay here for as long as you like, but you've got to come to this 12-step meeting with me. Well, I hated the meetings. They're all war stories, you know? But it was the best for the night, Pete. So I went, and I'm sat there. This is what my mind's saying. If I go to the restroom now, climb through a window this big, steal alcohol from that place we passed on the way, get back in the window and sit here, it will be good. I can't get through the window. I tried to get through the window, but I couldn't. It was like this big. So I'm sat there, and sure enough, everyone's doing war stories. And then this guy says, my name's John, I'm a recovered alcoholic. And I looked at Derek and said, what did he just say? He said he's recovered. I'm like, what? So after the meeting, I walked up to him. I said, hey, John, my name's Rob. Would you sponsor me? And he said, no, but I will be a spiritual advisor for a period of 12 weeks. Pete, I walked round to that man's house every Wednesday. I left at 6 a.m. It took me an hour to get there. I had to wait till 7 before I knocked on the door. Wait. And then 8 o'clock, no matter what we were doing, he would leave us out. 12 weeks, we did that. But the last Wednesday I was there, I changed completely. He told me I'd be taken far away and I'd be healing people and all this great stuff. He said my life would change from tomorrow. And I said, John, I love you and thank you for everything you did for me. It's unbelievable. But I'm living in this guy's house in the basement on a blow-up mattress. Nobody knows I'm there. How's it going to change? So the next day, Derek comes home at 12 o'clock. And he said, Rob, the guy who switched before in the factory, he's just resigned. Do you want a part-time job? I'm like, oh, my goodness, yes. So the person that I am kind of turned into a full-time job that week. Anyway, got my first pay packet. And I was working with people doing book studies, and people were getting well around me just in that short period. But I bought a little teddy bear and a card. And I wrote to John, thank you for introducing me to God because he took the compulsion drink away. And I walked back to his house. And when I got to his apartment, there was nobody there. The curtains looked different. So I was knocking that hard. This lady came out in the right answer. Can I help you? I said, yeah, where's John relocated to? And she said, John. I said, yeah, John. She said, there's been no one there for the 3 months that I've been here. So I went around the other, knocked on this guy's door, and this big guy came to the door. What do you want? I said, where's John moved to? And he said, John who? And I said, what? And he went on to tell me that apartment was derelict. That if you walked in that door, you would fall down to the basement. Now I'm confused, Pete. So I go back to the meeting where I first met him 3 months ago. And I said to I walked in the gate and went, Rob, oh, thank God, you recognize me. Yeah. Does John still come in? And he said, John who? And I said, the guy was over near the coffee machine talking to. And he said, Rob, we were smiling, man, because we thought you found God. We thought you were praying or you were talking to yourself. Never found that, man. And when I got wealthy, Pete, I set up the best private detective company in Manchester onto that, and you could not trace that guy.
Now that
What he taught me is 90% what I do today.
and now that is the spiritual experience that changes
Yeah.
everything for your life. And I appreciate you saying, you were a non-believer, and I've heard you say before, sometimes when you go to those meetings early on, people are talking about God, and if it's me or you coming in off the street for our first meeting, that can be a little clumsy for us at first, and to hear stories like yours is an example of breaking through, right? And finding that higher power, that God as we know him, that can totally change everything for us. And it goes from, the reason your story is so impactful, because it goes from that, right? The God and the spiritual, and then you bring it back down. Now we're talking about science. Now we're talking about trauma. Like if people get lost in the God situation, which you and I talk about, now they got to hear the science, and that brings them back to believing in the God. You talk about the gateway drug. Trauma is the ultimate gateway drug. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, everybody has childhood trauma, even if they say they don't, and they thought they grew up perfect. You haven't. So the trauma that therapists talk about, that's been in science books or whatever, textbooks for 50 years, is not the trauma we're talking about. Here was my trauma. My mom. How many times have I told you, Robert, you can't go to college like your brother, you're too stupid. That was one of the pieces of trauma. So what happens is when we dig back and we go into what's been said, what's been done around us, how we act today. Like if you're running a company in the early 90,000, but you thought you'd do $1 million this year, my question to you is why didn't you not? And the answer I'll tell you is the childhood trauma. You can't correlate the both together, but what happened here is making you only perform at 60% here, no matter what you do in life. So it's about uncovering, discovering, and discarding of that childhood trauma when you go back and you break everything down, when you find out what your mind. And here's an easy one. So a young girl grows up, 10, 9, 10, 11, 12. She sees dad several nights a week coming home drunk and getting in a fist fight with mom. First of all, she thinks that's normal. Okay? Secondly, she hears the lesson for the key in the door. If it goes straight in, it's safe. If it jingles around, she has to go and hide. But when she leaves the house, goes to college and meets a boyfriend, she will attract, now it's about the power of the mind, which is, I could spend 5 days on that. She will attract with her energy of the mind. So mind over matter, mind over the brain, which is matter. We can control the mind first thing in the morning. She will attract that guy that ends up doing the same as her dad did to her mom. To the extent that if she finds a great guy, she will self-sabotage that relationship in all sorts of crazy ways. So that's a learned behavior and enmeshment that comes from family. Everything. If you think when we're kids or babies growing up, what our parents say, we believe to be the truth. Don't put your hand on that stove, you'll burn yourself. Ow! That must be the truth.
Yeah.
What we hear, we believe to be the truth. Watch a sad movie, we feel sad. Babies are born with 2 fears, big. The fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. That is it. The rest are man-made. Wait till your father gets home. Pass the age, all this fear is put into us. When you get rid of all of that, and you find out the fundamental things that happen to you, we get down to the serious trauma. And we use things like 9D, we use things like NLP, we use brain spotting, the ways of bringing the trauma out that you never even thought about before, because it's there. And we're very, very, very good at this. We're the only company in the world that has almost 100% success after 8,000 patients, and the only company in the world that will give you your money back should we fail.
It's an amazing message, and it's an amazing mission that you're on. And a lot of these gems you sprinkle throughout, a conversation with someone like me, I can take with me for the rest of my life. You talked about our ability in the morning to just completely change the vibe as we start our day with oxygen. I mean, I never even heard of that. Walk me through that again.
Hold on to your seat, Pete. Hold on to your seat, guys. All right, so one of the very, very least misunderstood about oxygen is a couple of things. Why has nobody woke up ever laughing in the morning from sleep? Lack of oxygen. On a normal circadian rhythm sleep pattern between the hours of 2 and 5 o'clock is when our body is at its lowest effect. It's also when most people die of natural causes. So what happens when we wake up, we've got no oxygen inside. Now, check this. Every cancer, every illness, every growth inside the human body starts in a hypoxic area of the body, which means there's no oxygen. Can you imagine only breathing 45% of your lung capacity? That's what we do. The only reason when I work with athletes is they feel great in the gym is not the exercise, it's this. So what we need to do is we need to get as much oxygen in the morning as humanly possible into our system. And a couple of things happen. So we do 20 exaggerated breaths in. 20, okay? You'll go dizzy.
20 exaggerated breaths.
Yeah. First thing in the morning. There's a couple of things that happen. First of all, you're getting oxygen around to every single cell in the body. Now we're on a different playing field completely. When you wake up in the morning, the conscious brain and the subconscious brain are both active. But the subconscious brain wants to run that day. And the reason why it wants to do it is you woke up, you stub your toe, you're not feeling great, you go, this guy will make you fail, you'll make him not do anything, you'll never be tall enough, long enough, thin enough, or rich enough. This guy wakes you up in the freaking morning. So when you do your breath work, it kills the subconscious mind. We do our breath work, our teeth work, alternative right hands for a month every week. We do our mirror work, where we say, I love you in the mirror 10 times, 6 feet away from the mirror. When we do them 3 things and leave the door, you cannot be sad, you cannot be depressed, you cannot not fail that day. You are always going to be a success. And it's all about the mind, the spiritual side, the brain, and the central nervous system. If you only knew how powerful, guys, you really are, all your problems will be over. Like if me and you could swap places right now, guys, at home, and I can see what you can't see looking back at you, your problems will be over because you don't see how much power we have. And people go through life about 60, 70% of the capability. And they miss the other 30% off because they didn't try, because one of the parents said to them, you never amount to anything. One of the girlfriends said, you're ugly. And we all get stored in the subconscious brain. When that comes to fruition is when we're signing that $1 million contract, when we're signing that empire, when we're buying that car, and all of a sudden, I'm not worth it. And that's how the childhood trauma works. So it becomes the gateway drug. If you don't sort your childhood trauma out, it will sort you out. And that's why you can talk about alcoholism and drug addiction. Alcoholism is different to drug addiction. Alcoholics are born, drug addicts are made. That's going to blow everyone's mind. Alcoholics, well, alcohol has 1% to do with alcoholism, same with drug addiction. Alcoholics are born, drug addicts are made.
Well, okay, so I want to go back one more thing before we get to that, because I would like you to expand a little bit, if you would, on the I love you 10 times in the mirror. The science behind that is absolutely amazing. Can you explain that, why you would be 6 feet away and why you say it 10 times?
Oh, yeah, excellent. So what happens with our normal vision is when we get close to the mirror, you see all your blemishes. So guys, when we're shaving in the morning, or girls, you're putting makeup on, you're seeing yourself with all your blemishes here. When's the last time you went in the office and said, hey, Johnny, how you doing? Great to see you. We don't do that, but we carry that subconscious vision of all the imperfections on our face. And we think that's how people see us. They don't. So when you stand 6 foot away from the mirror, precisely, the blemishes disappear. Now we're doing I love you, I love you, I love you. Stupid, doesn't mean anything. What we're actually doing is we're stacking the subconscious brain. So if, which is true, if 300 neural pathways die every single day, guys, okay? 300 thought patterns, neural pathways die every day. The question is I'm asking you now, what are you freaking replacing them with? Are you replacing what other people tell you who you like? Are you listening to the naysayers and haters? Or are you telling yourself, I love you and I can achieve anything? Because that's what people don't understand. You can achieve anything in the world and be whatever you want to be. And years ago, people used to go, well, I can't be president of the United States. Forget your political views for a second. We had a freaking business and run the country for 4 years with no political experience. Don't dare tell me that you can't achieve your dreams, because it's just not true. And I want to apologize to you because somebody put that there, and there's the problem.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I appreciate your passion and your ability to break it down scientifically like that. I am curious about what you said about alcoholics are born, drug addicts are made. What exactly do you mean by that?
Alcoholism is a predisposition passed down from generation to generation. We are born alcoholics when we take the first drink. It sets on. Alcoholics have what's called the allergy, okay? And it ties to the mental obsession. So the three parts of the brain in alcoholics can differ to anybody else in the world. The hypothalamus, the basal ganglia, and the amygdala. What happens during an alcoholic, now there's a huge difference between heavy drinker, abuser, and alcoholic, okay? What happens to the alcoholic, at a certain point of his drinking career, the hypothalamus, which tells normal people, and us to a degree, that to survive, you must eat food and you must drink water from birth. Maybe rub the tummy, got the hands in the mouth. It's a fundamental base of survival, okay? What happens with the alcoholic is the hypothalamus at a certain point turns around and tells the alcoholic to drink alcohol only. That's why we can go days a week with no food. So drug addiction comes from the addicted personality. So if I tell you that 99.0% of heroin addicts that come to my office with a problem started in the doctor's office, now you understand. Now, they both present the same, and they're probably both treated the same. But I want you to understand, guys, they are different. Now, once you take away the patterns, because life's about patterns and math, all self-destructive patterns, when we find out them, uncover, discover, discard them, and reroute the neural pathways and behavior, you become geniuses. Every alcoholic and addict I know is recovered from that bullshit. They're geniuses. They're the guys I work with. So when the basal ganglia, this is what happens in the basal ganglia. It's like, if you imagine a clock face. So the basal ganglia is a part of the brain that teaches you how to do stuff. So a pilot needs 10,000 hours in the air. So thought patterns around that get learned and it becomes. Like when you first start driving a car, it seems massive, you have to concentrate. That's the basal ganglia, picking that repetition, strengthening confirms them. So in a few months later, you're backing down the driveway, you're waving to your mom, you're listening to your girlfriend on the phone, and you're trying to change all at the same time because it's working part of the brain. Here's the deal with alcohol and to a certain degree. Imagine the clock thing. 12 o'clock, we relapse, man. We go to for no reason. 10 after, we come out of treatment. 20 after, mom's okay. At past, we get the wife back. 22, the kids are good. And at 10 till, we self-sabotage for no reason at all. So the basal ganglia is broken. The broken part is the trauma. Unless we fix that, you are always going to relapse and you are always going to die of this shit. Always. So we have to repair that. A lot of people know about that because there's no money in studying this stuff. Unless the doctor can't, give you this or the pharmaceutical can't sell you this, nobody wants to know. Nobody's interested in, sorry for getting me on the food and the methylation. That's a whole different story. No one's interested in us staying well. The food that we eat is 90% trash and can kill us. 80% of that food we cannot methylate. So when we can't methylate, it becomes a deficiency. And when we have a deficiency inside the body, it causes an illness. Oh, my dad has heart problems, so I have heart problems. You can't pass any disease down. Are you insane? What you can pass down is the staple diet that you're on. So MTHRG, get it checked, see what you cannot methylate, see what's not processing, and replace it with some good vitamins, which usually you can find somewhere else. But just be careful. If you get a vitamin you like, spin it around, see what's on the back. Cybo, I think it's called. It's cyanide. Don't taking shit like that. There's other crystals. Herbal or organic. It's really, really good. But yeah, that's the deal, man. And people don't realize that. So we go round and round and we listen to the naysayers. You get going to treatment and you come out and you realize you're going to treatment.
What are some of the methods you guys use to help people uncover, discover, and discard?
Brain spotting is great. It's a thing at the EDMR. We do brain spotting online, but it's kind of rather than a light, it's kind of a wand that we use. And basically, this only came out about 10 years ago, is when you're looking and following something, your eye will flicker. When your eye flickers, we're staying there with that apparatus and one. And we'll stay there for 5 hours because something has sparked up a trauma in the subconscious brain. The brain spotting is a direct pupil to the subconscious brain. So the eyes are part of the brain. They're not different. It's not eye optical nerve. It's all bulged down to one thing. So we go straight in the subconscious brain. Okay. So while this is going on, The subconscious brain will flicker, but the conscious mind is looking at the one going by. And then you'll get a memory. We stay and we pull that memory out of you. And we've had people saying, I can't believe it. I didn't even know about that myself. That, my friends, is what's called real childhood trauma. We use 9D, which is basically headsets in a 9-dimensional sound with subliminal messages and directives. We use neuro-linguistic programming, obviously, psychology, and open up the mind using neuroscience, which is what I specialize in. And what you think you are and what you can be is totally different. When we see ourselves as who we are, that's what we make people do. Find your identity. What's your true identity? And we get this with housewives all the time. When there's a divorce, we find out that the woman has no identity of her own because it's always been the husband. His shows, his friends, da-da-da. You know, it's always what the husband wants. So she follows that, and then when it breaks up, she doesn't know who she is. Then she gets lost, and then she'll turn to alcohol, drugs, depression, all that stuff as a backup, safe place to go. And safe places kill people. Comfort zones kill people.
Yeah, and you talk about getting out of comfort zones and fear not being real. You also talk about being positive, right? Complimenting others, and how that can make a huge difference, not only in you, but in the other people.
100%, yeah. Well, so what happens is when I compliment somebody, dopamine is released into my brain, but dopamine is released into their brain, okay? Now, there's a great story, man. I always tell a guy goes to the Golden Gate Bridge, throws himself off, suicide, done. Police fish him out of the water, find ID on him, they go back to the house. Then you see a note on the table. They're looking for next of kin, but you see this note, and the note read, I've told it so many times, I'm going to walk to the Golden Gate Bridge, commit suicide, throw myself off, and that'll be it. Unless somebody on the way says hello, nods, gives me a thumbs up or a smile. In that case, I will turn around and come try again. Nobody did it. Nobody said anything to me. I want to ask you a question, guys. How many people do you walk past today who's heading to the Golden Gate Bridge? You just don't know. So when we compliment people, and if you don't think this guy's just hush mush, that surely won't work. Next time you're in a built-up area of people, sneakers. Watch for somebody coming towards you in sneakers and go, hey man, nice sneakers. 4 words, hey man, nice sneakers. He'll go, oh, thank you, man. Turn around and watch him walk away. He'll look down at his sneakers at least 2 to 3 times. Now you've changed his world. But guess what? When he goes home to the girlfriend or wife, because he's in a good mood, now she's in a good mood, then the mother-in-law calls, and you get the drift. Hey man, nice sneakers. It costs nothing. You just changed somebody's life. And you will never know until you bump into that person again who will tell you that. But that's what it's about. It's not about us, guys. Once you're in recovery and you get well, it's not about me. This has never been about me. Because you know what? I have nice things around me because I earn a lot of money in what I do. But you know when I believe I get to heaven and the big gates are open, you know what? God is not going to ask me?
What?
How much was that house? What? How much was that wash? How much was that house you lived in? You know what he's going to ask you? Say, how many freaking people did you save? How many people did you lead to me? How many people did you stop from dying because of disease I put you through so we had all the experience that you can get people out? How many, Rob? I'm on 8,000 right now, but I want a big number before I go. That's what it's about. The balance between God, family, work, and friends. You can be a perfect person, or you could be perfectly imperfect person. The choice is yours. Trying to be a perfect person every day, you're going to relapse, or you're going to go into depression, or you're going to give up. But being perfectly imperfect, we could sit here all day. I'll say things about me that are terrible, horrible. People hate because I'm a human being. But you know something? Not one person passes me who's heading to the Golden Gate Bridge today. It doesn't happen. I make sure it doesn't happen. I'm the annoying guy in the elevator when you get in and goes, hey guys, how we doing? And everyone's looking at the elevator. They all look in a different direction, but nobody's speaking. I'm the guy that, hey, morning, good morning. Hey, great shirt. I'm that annoying guy. You know why? One of them in that elevator, if you're heading to the Golden Gate Bridge, you don't know. Doesn't cost you anything. Plus, I'm outrageous. I'm crazy. I'm 63 in 4 weeks' time. I shouldn't dress, talk, act this way for 63. I don't care. I don't care anymore. You know?
Well, you're fearless.
There, I'm fearless.
You are fearless.
The thing is, Pete, what can you or anybody else in this world do to me that I hasn't already done? I've done to myself. So when I signed the big office deal with Dallas for I don't know how many years, but it was $1 million. I put my signature to it about 5 or 6 years ago. People thought it was insane. My answer is, what are they going to do? Set the office of me, what are they going to do? Because I died twice on the streets in Manchester, England. What the hell are they going to do to me that's upset? So I take chances. I don't give a shit. I'll go to I'll give you a shirt off my back. We gift everybody monetary whenever we leave the house. We pay for alcoholic dads who are trying to get the kid back. We'll pay for his soup for court, legal fees, and whatever we need to do to help another human being. That's what we do. That's why we started the Robb Kelly Foundation, is to give back, because we didn't have enough money ourselves to try and help these people. Because if it wasn't for Derek and he had no money, I wouldn't be here today. And the Johns of this world. So I want to be your Derek, guys. You see TV and all the stuff that people see in the books, and the guy that sold his kids out for alcohol. This is the guy that stabbed his wife 3 times one night because she won't let me finish my bottle of vodka. So if you're out there going to come in and find me, I'll speak to you as much as I can. I'm busy, obviously. But if the man come find me, I'm not the guy you see in the media, and the guy who lived in the trenches and was homeless.
You talk about being chosen. There's so much I want to talk to you about, but you talk about that people can be chosen. But before I talk to you about that, for people listening to this, and I love how you put your message together, because you are reaching people right now. People go through so much shit in their active addiction, and people have shame in that. Now you have a way of looking at it where you say it's a Harvard education. I mean, truly, what we go through when we're out there, it can be put to such incredible use if we turn it around. Talk to me a little bit about that.
If you've gone through the stuff that we're talking about right now, why do you think you're still alive? How many times should you have died? Okay? So when I was on the streets and I lost my, you know how many type of kids out between? And guys, you probably have heard this, Pete, you probably have. My wife left when I come home from Spain after stabbing her. I had to stay there for a bit because it was murder charges on me, but she survived and it was attempted. But it all got sorted out. I came home. She had everything packed and the kids, and she left. She left me in this big house. And I'm like, you can't do that to me. Who do you think you are? Do you know who I am? So I got to my attorney next day, and he got a court order to bring my children back, ages 1 and 3. I took him in, I put him in front of the TV, and then I went to the kitchen, and the thought hit my mind, it wouldn't be great if I had 1 beer to celebrate getting my children back. Of a can is all I heard. 2 or 3 days later, when the police kicked the door down, the children had not been fed or changed diapers for 2 days. I'd obviously been to the liquor store back and left them alone. I nearly killed them kids. When the police came, they took my 2 girls, and my eldest 3, she was holding on to mommy's hand. And she's walking down the path, and she said 3 things to me. Daddy, Daddy, please don't go. Nearly killed her. Halfway down the path, she turned around and said, Daddy, Daddy, please get better. And as they got to the gates, they opened these gates, she turned around one more time and said, Daddy, Daddy, well, Daddy, Daddy, please stop drinking. I couldn't do it, guys. Shortly after that, I was homeless. But here's the deal. This is training, guys. That's all it is. And it's painful and it's hard. I talk about my 14 months on the street with like a semester at Harvard. The hurt, the pain I suffered, the humiliation, which shame's not yours to carry, by the way, guys. Get rid of that shit straight away. You're doing this for a reason. You put this for a reason. I will give you my car if this isn't true. Okay? And I have a pretty nice car. You're being trained and you're being groomed for some better things. And everything that you've lost will come back. Everything. You think if you earn 100 grand, you earn 500 grand. It's just, as long as you keep working with God's kids. So 4 years ago, after 30 years, my eldest daughter going to contact me on Messenger. She said, Dad, call me Dad. She called me Dad for the first time, guys. I got that afraid. I've got something to tell you. I don't believe what everyone's telling me. I've just seen you on TV. So we flew over there. 4 hours after I received the message, we were on a plane. I got there. All the terrible things came back. What kind of father was you? She opened the door unexpectedly. We fell into each other's arms. We laughed and cried in minutes. She said, Dad, I got something to show you. This is my daughter back in my life, guys. We walked into her living room, and she handed me my 3-month-old granddaughter. Right there and then, I knew I was doing the right thing. working with people. And you've got to say, here we go. 4 weeks ago, my youngest daughter contacted me. We're going over to see her in 3 weeks. You see, the stuff you go through, guys, should not be fear attached. The stuff you go through is used going forward to help people, unless you experience it. And you'll go through all this terrible stuff. You'll, be a single mom struggling with no money trying to provide for your kids. That when you start working on yourself and the trauma, then what happens is them kind of people are going to be put in front of you. Because I get guys now, they go, what do you know? I've seen what car you drive and the watches and the big. What do you know about being homeless? Check. What do you know about almost being beaten to death? Check. What do you know? Check. I've been through for all of that, and that's what I do. My main job today is to help another person have a great day. Stop at the gas station. If I see a woman there with 5 kids in the back and she's trying to squeeze $5 out, I don't stay anonymous, but you shouldn't say you help people. Screw you. I pull in the gas station. I fill the tank up, give her $500 and then she goes away. That's the kind of person that I've turned into from all of that. Because where I am today from where I came from is humanly impossible. It's humanly impossible. That's why God's help. And he blesses us so much and we give it away and we get to laugh every day. Says who is our biggest saying in this company? Well, I'm not sure. Says who?
Says who?
Well, we used to wear managers. Says who? Who's making these rules up? I don't like these rules. Let's change it. Make your own rules up. Dance in the bathroom with your girlfriend or wife. Guys, throw things at each other during the day. Laugh, joke. We don't have time. Everyone thinks they have time. Oh, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. Moms, when's the last time you hear people say, well, I was waving them off to kindergarten next minute. I'm waving it. We don't have time. Start that business. Date that girl. Buy that house. Do it now. Don't wait. You're never going to be ready to have a baby, guys. It's just not the way that shit works. Well, you know something? If you keep waiting and you keep saving and you keep waiting because of the fear, anxiety, shame, and remorse that we carry, you're never going to do it. My father-in-law, God bless him, Pete, worked in a factory all his life. And mom. And they saved and saved and saved. What people didn't know is he messed with the stock market as well. Probably on minimum wage. They were going to, 17, they were going to pack everything and go traveling work. 68, mom got Alzheimer's. And 70, dad died because she died as well. They found $1.8 million in their bank. Really? I want to do that, man. Well, we pay for people's freaking vacations. Well, it's not my money. It's our money.
I listen to you and I see you and you just kind of jump through the screen with your charisma and your message. But like I said, there's also this data behind it. And there's also, I think it's like 8,500 people that you have helped back to being well. Those people that you've helped, have you seen them? Because you talk about, I really do feel like an alcoholic in recovery is almost has a superpower. And I truly do because of that education that you talk about. What do you see out of your patients when they leave you or are they always in your care?
Now, this is an easy deal, guys. It's a 3-month deal because chemicals have to reset as well. We track you every single day because your powers have to be solidified. So we stay with them. What we see is when we start with them, obviously, we see this broken down guy or girl. And as we work through, we see him improve, we get the confidence. We see him applying for that job, asking that guy to date, whatever it is, we see him improve. And we help you through that. We'll start, one guy wanted to do a ballet business. So we built his websites. We bought his car and now it goes successfully. So we see people broken and we see people walk out there with champions because alcoholism and addiction is not an affliction, guys. It's a freaking superpower. It really is. Most of the people that are running the country right now, they've had their troubles, man. They've had their stuff in the past, but it's taught them to be who they are today. We're brilliant, absolutely genius minds. We are born with every single person is born with $1 million minds. Why do you keep hanging around 10 segments? Why? When you can burst through this bubble and be somebody. And it's like, if you think money's going to make you happy, guys, believe me. I've been poor and I've been rich. I choose rich every time, don't get me wrong, but it don't bring happiness. It really does. Happiness is an inside job. It's not up to me to make my wife happy. It's up to me to make me happy so I can bring the best of me today. Bring the best of me to work, the best of me.
I heard you say something because you talked about how recovery brought your daughter back into your life, that beautiful story. But then, and I think this has changed since I heard you say it. I think your other daughters have come back into your life, but there was a point when it's never all unicorns and rainbows, right? And you said, I'm staying in faith on that. And that hit me like a ton of bricks, because too often we're back in the shame, or we're in the future about, man, this is going to be impossible. I'm never going to get to do this. But in the present, if we stay in faith on it, that's all we can do. And it builds that belief and it helps us. Can you talk to me a little bit about that statement you made?
Well, there's sometimes you have to let go, guys. Now, when the mind, again, connects to another power, whether it be Uncle Jimmy, God, or whatever, universe, something magical happens. So if something happens or doesn't happen to you, you go for a job and you don't get it, if you're conducting business right, if you're acting right, being kind, there's a better job for you. There's always a better something for you. It's crazy how this universe works. So I have to just say, hey, this is in God's hands, I can't do anything about this. And I stay there. And eventually it happened. And I go, oh my goodness, you were right. We had a patient here, and she wanted this job, and we applied for it, and she went for it, and she got the job, and she was happy. But 3 months later, there's another better job with another company that come up. And she's, oh, I could apply for that. Me and my friend's going to apply for that. I'm like, why you apply for more money? And there's also a car. So I said, well, you're the best candidate, go for it. She didn't get the job. Her friend got the job. And she was really down. We brought her in and said, everything happens for a reason. A month, 4 weeks after they still took this other job, the company went into liquidation. And she was left with no job. There's always a better reason, and you have to put your faith and trust into that. If you act as if it's already happened, it will happen. If you can put a feeling to that action, like I want to buy a Rolls Royce. Well, can you imagine a Rolls Royce? Let's go test drive one. We test drive, I can feel myself. What's the feeling attached to that? It's accomplishment, pride. You've got to start living like that now, okay? God, those were the days. Stop saying that. Today's one of those days. You've got to act like it, feel it, touch it. I worked for Manchester United for about 3 years as one of their doctors, and the visualization in the tunnel is where it comes from. Well, you see kickers all the time doing this. So are they aiming up the kick? No. They're imagining it. That kick going through to score. That's every single time. You get players on the side, they're very quiet, they're looking at the pitch, like, what is he? Okay, he's visualizing his next move. It will always come true because he feels it, he sees it. It's like anything you want is available. Like quantum physics backed me up here. Let's say quantum physics, tried, known science, says I can be on the basketball court 11, 12 times at the same time. So there's me 12 times on this court. I can see myself, or I can see everyone of me. Where do you want to be? Well, honestly, I've never played basketball, but I want to be near the goals. When I get the ball, I'm going to put it. It's going to be the hurdle of the game. Question begs to be asked, how are you going to get there? Have you visualized it? Yeah. So how are you going to get there, Dr. Rob? You walk over and you take that position. You don't beg for it. You don't call for it. You walk over and you take that position. That's what life's about, man. None of us dare do that because of everything we carry with our trauma and shame. And like, nobody really gives a shit, guys. When you're walking out, you've got everything. Have a look at, have I lost a bit of weight? Nobody cares, man. When you walk into a room and the door closes and everyone looks, they're looking at the door that's closed. Nobody gives a shit. They've all got their own problems going on. But you think it's all about you. Your job right now is to get better, get well, earn money if you want to, get contact with your kids, and be the best person you can be today. Don't worry about the money, it comes. Don't worry about the family, it comes. Don't worry about the happiness, it comes, guys. And I've known it 8,500 times before. This happens. And the quicker you get used to you being able to do anything that you want to do, the quicker, the sooner, the better. And you realize that it is possible. Then you become a leader. Everybody needs a leader. People who are listening to this right now are not listening by mistake. You are leading somebody through something that you've no idea. It might be little Johnny next door sees you come out and you suit into a car. He don't want to live on the projects anymore. He wants to have a suit, get in a car just like yours. You know nothing about it. It's not about us. It's not being selfish. It's about them.
All right, last question for you, because I've taken up the time. You are a complete light, and I think you can tell just by talking to me, I feel that way. What is something you tell to folks who say, I can never get this thing. I'm never going to be able to get sober. Recovery continues to elude me. You know, you again strike me a lot like me. Like I was beaten into submission. There were a couple times, you know, more than a couple. It took me, 11 years to get a year. And now I've got 12, right? But like, what do you tell to the people that feel hopeless?
I tell them this: alcohol has 1% to do with alcoholism, and the same with drug addiction. You see, you don't have a drinking problem; you have a thinking problem. This is broken, not this. A relapse happens at least a week before you pick up that drink. The relapse is a week before when you pissed off at a guy, or you didn't do this, or you stole that thing. That's what a relapse is. The rest is just going through motions until you finally pick up. Once that's on the bar, you get your hand around it, all bets are off. Now, how do I know that about the mind and the feel? I'm outside the liquor store one morning, back home. I've got a vest and a pair of shorts on and flip-flops. It's snowing and I'm sweating profusely. I know from my experience, if I don't get liquor or hospital, I'll probably die within the next 30 minutes. The guy opens the door, he knows me, he sneaks me in, I've got, please stop drinking. I just need more alcohol, man. He puts the bottle of vodka on, I give him like 10 pounds and headache stopped, shiver stopped, feeling great, instantly changed.
The moment you grab that bottle of vodka.
When I grab the bottle,
yeah,
that's how I had it. I look back at the shopkeeper, I look back at the bottle and go, shit, it's not about the alcohol. Shit, it's not about the alcohol. And that's why it will change for me. So those guys who keep relapsing and think they'll never get back, you want to look at the people around you. Are you being taught or taken through a program where they're alcoholics? Because 90% of people in 12-step rooms all around the world, I know, I speak on behalf of all these guys for 20 years, are not real alcoholics. So if I'm being trained by somebody who's not a real alcoholic and he expects me to do a step a month, for instance, and he got well doing that, that's fine for him. But with you, who's died of untreated alcoholism, keep relapsing. Why do you keep relapsing? I get his from, oh, well, Johnny came in, he just wasn't ready. You piece of shit. What do you mean he wasn't ready? What the hell are you doing? Why did he go out? Why did you let him do this? Why are you teaching this? Why did you get the fuck out straight away? Why don't you tell him you can 100% recover from this shit you're going through? Why didn't you do that? Enough of that, he wasn't ready shit. You don't know what you're talking about. So you should keep your mouth shut because you're not a real alcoholic. So look for them guys around you. You find a guy that's recovered from the disease he's been going through. You get a guy that has a sponsor, gone through the book, who checks out shit off anybody. That's the guy you want. Because if you're struggling with bullshit after 5 days of opening that book and being told what's in it, you're going crazy. If you're living through life after going through the program and you're still having 5 days and thoughts of things, go drink. That's not recovery. That's freaking hell on earth. You can fully recover from this bullshit that you are going through. Change the patterns. Change the people around you. Change the way you look at yourself. You're not a piece of shit. You are not worthless. You are being educated. Take that on board. Know that you're loved and know that you have a mission, because while you're dwelling in this 12-step bullshit that you'll all never recover, while you're doing that, guys, how many people are dying on a daily basis waiting for you to get your shit together? That's what you should be thinking.
Dr. Robb Kelly, it's very rare that you get somebody who has ascended up to the penthouse in sobriety, but still spends their days on the front lines. And that's you. And I appreciate it. And I love you for it. And I really appreciate you taking the time too.
Of course, man. Of course, anytime for you. Anytime you need me to do anything, I know what you do. I know I need people you help, man. We do our homework before we come on here. We get to pick on what podcast we're going today. But yeah, man, thank you. I came on here because of you, and that me and you could help something. So thank you for having me on. And what I will say before we leave is a personal thank you, okay? Because sometimes our job, what we do now, it can get lonely, man. Podcasts can get lonely because we're trying to do it, and people are not following us, not listening to us, man. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a guy that's helped millions of people with a knock-on effect, man. And I think you should be recognized. You're a great podcast coach. You ask some great questions. You're a lovable guy, and you've changed so many people's lives. So thank you from me, man. You are fucking awesome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Robb. See, I got to work on that. I got to work on taking compliments. Thank you very much. You've helped me today.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
We'll talk soon. Thank you so much, Dr. Robb. You're amazing, dude. Thanks so much for listening to the Payoff with Pete. Once again, I'm Pete Souza. And of course, we are part of the Rogue Media Network. All kinds of good podcasts you can find at roguemedianetwork.com. And of course, you can find this podcast and all those other ones wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, other spots like that.